Okay, I'm going to call to order this meeting of the Montgomery County Board of Supervisors on Monday, December 15th, 2025. Our first item of business is the moment of silence and pledge of allegiance led by County Administrator Angie Hill.
Please rise as you're able for a moment of silence and then join me as I lead us in the pledge. Let us pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you, Angie. We have some really exciting presentations to handle first. So our first set of presentations is from the Virginia Association of Counties. These are annual achievement awards, and we have VACO's Director of Communication, Gage Harder, with us this evening to present those awards. Welcome, sir. Good to see you. Thanks for making the trip.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members of the board, appreciate this opportunity. For folks that don't know what the VACO Achievement Awards are, VACO was formed in 1934 to serve and support your efforts as county officials. We support counties in many ways, first through our advocacy efforts in the state legislature and at the federal level. We also serve counties through educational programs, member services, and communications efforts. 2003, we established our Achievement Awards. So it's 22 years now, to recognize counties that have adopted innovative approaches to providing public services and identifying programs that could serve as models for counties to emulate. Today, I'm proud to present Montgomery County with two more Achievement Awards. Just for some notes about the award program, this is actually our 23rd year, and we received a record 155 entries. 57 were selected winners from 33 counties. That means 36% of entries that were submitted actually won. So about a third. So it's truly a competitive program. Montgomery County now has 12 Achievement Awards. You've won 8 years in a row. Last year, you won the best large county achievement, I think, for your sensory museum. I think the first one you won was 2005, so you have a long history with this program. Now I'd like to turn it over to Jennifer Harris to talk about the first winning program. Jennifer?
So thank you all. And thank you so much for making the trip here to present these awards to us. The first award was for a public service announcement that we did with the voter registrar, Office of Elections. As you know, sometimes there's some confusion related to polling places and election timing and things that are taking place around the election season. So Durley Aguilar could not be here tonight, but she coordinated with Connie Vire at the Office of Elections, and they took some time to talk about what was going on with the current election in 2024. And as you know, it was a presidential election, so there's a lot of things to talk about. And in addition, every year we have to remind people that the Office of Elections is now in a new location. It used to be in this building, and people still are getting used to the idea that they can't come and necessarily vote in this building, that they need to go to the Office of Elections on Franklin Street. So that was another point of interest that they made sure they talked about. And then there was a proposed constitutional amendment on that ballot as well last year. So they just wanted voters to be informed ahead of the actual election. And so that took place, and it was one of our most highly downloaded podcasts that we did, and it continues to still actually get some traction now. So we submitted that for an award, and we're very excited to say that we did win that. So thank you very much.
The next award is, you seem to win a lot of cat awards or animal shelter awards, which is a good thing. This one, all right, I'm going to try to pronounce it. A Hurricane Prep Party.
Thank you. So every year, the Animal Care and Adoption Center is inundated with kittens in the springtime. And so instead of getting overwhelmed, we decided to get creative and innovate. So we partnered with a lot of different departments, so the Public Relations and Community Engagements Department, also Parks and Rec, we borrowed some boats from them, and we decorated our whole building as though we were preparing for a hurricane, and we asked for donations. We did a lot of social media posting and got the word out. We received a whole heck of a lot of donations, but it was an awful lot of fun too. We had storm clouds hung all up in the building, and there were kittens everywhere, so it was a veritable hurricane. And we cannot thank the community enough for coming out and making it amazing, but also thanking VACO for recognizing that.
Just last, so when we used to track this, Facebook stats and stuff with counties, usually the #1 visited Facebook page was the animal shelter page. So that tells you where everyone. Yeah. Anyway, thank you for this opportunity, and we've took photos already, so thank you for that. And we'll look forward to your entries for 26.
Thank you, Gage. We will certainly continue hosting wonderful events that are worthy of consideration. So thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you.
Have a good evening. Okay, and our next presentation this evening is on MC 250, VA 250, local committee. This is, I practiced. You guys are going to have to remind me. The sesquintennial.
Oh, good.
I practiced it over the weekend so I could get it right, and it's all left my mind. This is celebrating the 250th anniversary of Virginia and Montgomery County. Welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having us. So last year, Sherry and I had the opportunity to come and present to you. Oh, I forgot. Okay, we all have to take turns at the mic. Sorry. So last year, Sherry, and I'll let her introduce herself in just a minute, and I were able to come and talk to you a little bit about what the local committee was doing. And then this year, now we get to bring another person along to talk to you about what we're doing. So I'll let you two really quickly, how about you introduce yourselves?
I'm Sherry Wyatt, and I'm the Executive Director at the Montgomery Museum of Art and History.
And Samantha Livesey. I serve as the Executive Director for Tourism for Blacksburg, Christiansburg, Montgomery County.
So the local committee has been meeting regularly since last year. And as you know, I want to remind you of a couple quick things, and we're all going to take a few turns here, just share some of the top level highlights with you briefly. And we would love an opportunity to come back next year sometime and show, finalize all the things that we've been planning, because the committee's been doing a lot of great work. But just to remind you, Montgomery County is only one of 2 localities within the Commonwealth also celebrating our 250th. Washington County is the other one. And just another thing to remind you of, we did share this with you last year, but it is huge. Collaboration is a really huge thing and with this local committee, and it's something that we've valued from the beginning when we started working together. And so all are welcome. It's not too late if you have an interest in this and someone wants to get involved. Let us know. We'd love to have you come to the meetings and help plan and pull an oar with all the things we have to do. That would be great. So I won't read all the folks on the screen, but just know that there are a lot of organizations, local community folks, and even citizens who are involved in this. And Sherry and I have been serving as the co-chair on the local committee. So real quick, again, what have we done? And last year we were able to finalize our logo. We came up with a theme, Revolution to Revolutionary. We started on our social media plans, and we also got approval from you all to pursue a commemorative license plate, which we're still working on those sales to reach the pre-sale level so we can get those into production. Ongoing, the committee is continuing to identify and develop stories, and we're building relationships throughout the community and doing lots of other fun things. So what is going to be taking place early in 2026? Our public relations and community engagement, we realize that we actually need some help, some people who can devote more time to this, because we know it's a big deal and we want to make sure it gets its due. And while all of us have a heart for this, and we've been working really hard, it's we have full-time jobs, full-time plus jobs, most of us. So we have a public relations person coming on and a multimedia person that will help us with some of the writing and developing stories and doing interviews and that sort of thing. And we have a series of multimedia stories the committee has identified, and they will be highlighting the revolution to revolutionary theme. So think about, transportation, and we have the airport and wing. So different things that show how our community has been demonstrating the revolution to revolutionary in real life. We have a couple other things that I'm not going to get into a bunch of detail with, but one thing I know Samantha is excited to tell you about is a commemorative trail map that we'll be working on. We have some commemorative benches that we'll be putting out in key areas throughout the community, so you'll be hearing more about that once that comes to fruition, but we have the plans for that in place. Sherry's going to explain to you some of the highlights for American Heritage Days that we have coming up in August of 2026. And then we are finalizing some plans for an exciting December event. And I will say that the Parks and Rec director was a big person behind the idea of that. So if we can pull it off, I just want to make sure he gets some credit for that. It may or may not involve fireworks, so just know we're working on that, okay? We're not going to put that in writing just yet because we're not quite there. So anyway, we have a lot of events and outreach things that we're excited about. We're finalizing those now, but I'd like, if you don't mind, talking a little bit about Heritage Days.
Okay, so you all may already be familiar with Heritage Day. The museum has sponsored this event for at least 2 decades, almost continuously, except for COVID. And the event honors our traditions, right? So it's things like vendors who do handcrafts and handmade art and traditional music. So we have lots of things in place already for this event, but we wanted to do something in 2026 that was special and spoke to some of the themes that are coming out, both of the revolution to revolutionary theme that we are doing with this committee, but also the museum will be hosting a large new exhibit that is sponsored by a VA 250 grant. It also is the same grant that is, as we speak, installing the lift elevator into the museum to make the lower level accessible and open up new gallery space. And that new gallery space will have an exhibit open in the summer, so it will be ready for Heritage Day, that talks about what Montgomery County was like when it extended all the way to the Ohio River. So lots of themes with that in industry. You think about coal and the lead mines, and all of those things are part of that. And so we're looking at how we can draw some of these themes into Heritage Day.
Did you want to touch upon the race?
Yes, and something new that we are going to be bringing to Heritage Day this year, certainly the MC250 fits a certain profile for those that like history and want to travel and do history. So how can we diversify this commemorative event along a diverse group of people? So we are going to be doing an MC 2.50K as a way to bring in that running community. It's also going to be a shorter distance, so it's going to be more of a fun run so we can incorporate families. We are certainly going to encourage folks to dress up as it looks throughout the 250 years. So you interpret that how you want. And we're looking forward to giving out commemorative MC 250 medals to those winners. So more to come. We have some meetings scheduled with Town of Christiansburg. I think this is all of our first time planning a race. So it's going to be a learning experience for all of us, but we're really looking forward to that.
I think you're up next.
Yes, and then also, as Jen said, we are working on creating a commemorative MC 250 trail map. Originally, we had talked about doing a passport, but the Commonwealth for the VA 250 they also put out a passport. So to not be repetitive, we kind of went back to the drawing board and said, how can we still provide a way to encourage folks to get out and visit all of these historical landmarks? And that's where we came back to the commemorative trail map. So we are working with GIS planning to get an overlay for the mapping for us to get that going. In tourism, we really want to make sure folks come out here and can make this a weekend trip, or better yet, can fill those times when we don't see so many folks here during the week. How can we use this to invite folks into our town during those Monday through Friday nights? So again, more to come, looking to have this hopefully ready to be sent out for folks to use no later than beginning of March.
Thank you. So again, just there we go. Just to let you all know, we have a lot of things that are still just about ready to go, but we needed to finalize a few more things, and the committee actually still has a meeting, one more meeting this year tomorrow. So we are working to get all those plans straight and ready to go in January, and we're very excited about it. But at this time, we wanted to make sure you at least had a top-level understanding of what we've been doing and how we've been collaborating, working together. So if you have any questions, we're happy to answer them.
Thank you so much all for being here and for keeping us updated. This is really exciting. I know that a lot of hard work is going into putting together a lot of good events for the community. So thank you all for keeping us in the loop. Let's see if anybody has any questions specifically for you guys. I am not seeing any questions, but, oh, excuse me. Vice Chair Fizikowski.
You know what I always ask. What are we up to with numbers on the license plate?
We have a significant way to go.
Okay.
Yeah,
All
it'll
right.
be a while, but we're going to keep pushing it and we'll see.
Okay.
Yeah.
And where are you pushing it at?
We have social campaigns, we have posters and things in different community places where they're being visited, like the libraries, and I'm sorry, I'm not speaking very clearly here, so let me start over. Various county and town buildings to which we have access. We have put posters and things. We have one at the museum. The libraries, if it's not already in place, or it may have been in place, we're working through some details. But as soon as we have our public relations and multimedia interns in place, we have some big plans for them to push that as well. So we're getting there.
Is there an interest, and people are just not taking that extra step and filling out the form? Or
That. It feels like there's been interest when we talk to people. One big thing that happened fairly recently was just late fall, we were able to accept payments online for it. So we're working to overcome the initial communication was you had to physically come here
Right.
to pay for the license plate, or you had to mail in a check. And so we're working to educate people that they can just do it online now.
Okay, very
So
good.
hopefully
Well,
that'll drum up some more business.
I got my fingers crossed.
Me too.
Thank you for all
Thank
you're
you.
doing.
Did you get one for all of your vehicles? Okay, any more questions? Thank you very much for being here this evening. Okay, the next item on our agenda is a public hearing. This public hearing is to establish a separate classification for tangible personal property taxation. This is related to motor vehicles owned or leased by members of volunteer rescue or fire departments in Montgomery County. Do we have any other information to present before I open the public hearing?
Chris is going to do a brief presentation for you.
Oh, yes, it's on the screen.
Great, thank you. We have presented this in a work session, so a lot of this is very similar to that, but we wanted to make sure we laid it out again and go through that process. So as stated in before you as an ordinance for a public hearing to create a new motor vehicle personal property tax classification for qualified volunteer fire and volunteer rescue members. The state code does allow this and kind of enables us to do this, and it's something that the board had asked us to investigate and consider, along with what incentives are there out there that we can use to help support our volunteer system. One important note too from the state code is we do have to have this established at least by January 31st of the tax year for it to be implemented. So that would be in 2026. Any tax bills would be December 5th of 2026. So it's next year's whole tax year. And it's also important that this is a two-step kind of implementation process. Tonight is only step one, and I'll touch on both of those. So step one is to create the actual classification within the tax structure, and then which is based on that state code. Step two is really kind of the details of it, but you have to basically establish the actual tax rate. What is the incentive? What is the reduction, of that personal property tax that's due based on your vehicle? And then establish the policy and the operational process to apply for that classification through the Commissioner of Revenue. And all of our volunteer chiefs will be integral in that and have to certify that their members meet the qualifications. And what the state code language refers to as a volunteer is required to regularly respond to calls or regularly performs other duties within the agency. So what does that mean? We have to, in essence, define what that means for us. And I'll touch on that in a little bit, but some other just important things to note. This does include all of our volunteer fire and EMS agencies within the county. Also, that includes the two towns as well as the university. It only applies to county personal property tax for motor vehicle. It does not personal property tax or license fees within either of the towns, so they're independent of us. The current incentive that we do offer within a similar personal property tax realm is there's a $23.50 county license fee that is waived for active volunteers. There's no changes proposed to that, but that comes in as like a certified list from all the chiefs who their active members are. We did meet, the Fire and Rescue Commission did meet last Thursday, December 11th. This was discussed, and specifically the state code requirement language about what is actively respond or actively participate. And they had very good discussion, and we, working with them as staff, will be developing a draft policy for them to review at their next meeting, January 15th. But that is still part of like step two that'll come along. So this evening is really focused on just enabling the legislation and creating the classification within our tax structure. And I'd be more than happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Chris. Does anybody have any questions before we open the public hearing? Okay. So I will go ahead and open the public hearing. We did have a sign-up sheet in the foyer area out there for this public hearing to establish a separate classification for motor vehicle tax for volunteer fire and rescue members. We did not have anybody sign up to speak for this public hearing. So if anybody in the audience would like to come forward and address this topic, you're welcome to do so at this time. Seeing nobody, I will close the public hearing. And we have this on our agenda under new business for consideration later this evening. And now we'll move on to public address. We do have the guidelines for public address on the screens around the room, and I do have a list of people that have signed up in advance. So what I'm going to do is call the two names. So the first person that I call will come up and deliver their comments, and the other person will know that they're next in line. So first we have Chris Taylor, and following Chris we have Wayman Pack. Welcome, sir.
Good, how are you? My name's Chris Taylor. I'm a resident of Christiansburg, Virginia. I come tonight just to kind of introduce myself as the Executive Director of New River Valley Community Services. You guys are well aware that we're a nonprofit provider of behavioral health services. Excuse me. We employ 839 people as of today. Our main office is in Blacksburg. Any day you can find about 200 employees roaming the halls of 700 UCB. As you guys are also aware, we own the old Wade's building through our Mountain Empire services. We're still working through ideas of what to do with that building. I know there are many questions in the county about what are we going to do with that building. And so we're still trying to work through those details. As you guys are well aware too, there was recently a rezoning heard in the town of Blacksburg, the town council, and that was denied to develop some other properties on UCB. And so therefore, we were worried that that would kind of push us out of our location. So we're pretty excited about that we'll be able to stay in our current location. So we'll probably get a little more aggressive with figuring out our Roanoke Street building. I just really wanted to come by tonight and say hello. I know that we usually just show up when we're asking for money. And so I wanted to come by and not ask for money, but just say hello. I do have a few stats that I'd like to share with you. Pretty brief, but 43% of our clients in FY25 were from Montgomery County, and about 36% of our employees reside in Montgomery County. I can leave some business cards with the clerk. I do think I am one card short, but I know a few of you already know how to get a hold of me, so that shouldn't be a problem. So I'm happy to answer any questions right now, or if not, you guys can contact me via email or phone.
So we'll take your business cards, and we don't normally do questions during public
I
comment.
figured. I was just wanted to.
Thank you for
Yeah.
coming.
Thank you, guys. Happy holidays.
You too. All right, next we have Wayman Pack, and following Mr. Pack, we have Alan Souter. Welcome, sir.
Good evening, Board. My name is Wayman Pack, and I live on Piney Woods Road in Reiner. And I don't have an advanced degree in mathematics, and I didn't even attend a higher learning establishment after high school, but I can listen and pay attention to what is being said. I listened to a presentation complaining about MCPS funding and came away with some confusion. I was sure from listening to prior meetings that not only does the school system already receive approximately 66% of the annual county budget, but was also given what was requested. Not only that, but this board also went back and raised taxes by another 1%, which was $1.2 million from the original advertised rate, to give to the schools in order to provide free lunches and SROs that had been requested for the schools that were lacking. When the school board received the additional funds, instead of using them for their stated purpose, they instead gave themselves a raise, resulting in this board retracting the amount that had been provided for the school resource officers, giving that money to the sheriff's office to be used for the requested manpower. There was much crying and wailing about the legality and unfairness of this move, but it turned out to be just a lot of noise with no substance. If this board funds the school budget request and then provides additional funding on top of that, and then a group of citizens wants more money to be provided to the schools, I believe that these citizens need to start at the beginning and work with the school board on their final request to the supervisors, not come to the supervisors and ask them to second guess what they are presented with. As I understand this process, it is the job of this board to look at the budget that is presented and determine if it makes fiscal sense and provides the needs of the schools, not to pad it with additional wants and wishes. Remember, only 49.9% of Montgomery County acreage is taxable, and part of that 49.9% is taxed at a lower rate to being in protected land use. I would respectfully ask that all of those who wish to see additional funds be given to the schools dispel with any hesitations they may have and feel free to dig in their own pockets and give it to them while keeping their hands out of mine. I want our students to have a quality education that will give them a good start, whether they enter an establishment of higher learning or go directly into the workforce after graduation. And I believe that looking at the citizenry of the county, it has been done. I also believe that it could be done without creating a greater burden on the 49.9% of the county that is already on them. I fully support giving the schools what they need in order to provide our students with a quality education in a safe environment. But I ask you to also please give thought to the lower income and less populated portions of the county on fixed incomes. My monthly pension that I began receiving almost 6 years ago and am thankful to receive will never increase as long as I live. Now, the 2.8% Social Security increase that I'm scheduled to receive in 2026 does not even keep up with the rate of inflation that we currently have. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Alan Souder, and then following Alan, we have Mary Ann Capp. Welcome.
Thank you. I have a PowerPoint presentation. It's not long. I'm not going to bore you guys, but there are a couple pictures.
We'll restart your time while we get that loaded. Here we go.
Good evening. I appreciate the opportunity to address the board, so thank you. My name is Alan Souder. Born and raised in the county many years ago. The family presence in the county dates back to the 1780s after having served at Valley Forge, so happy 250th. There's a saying that no good deed goes unpunished. I know that sounds cynical, but it does unfortunately carry some merit in this day and age. Montgomery County and its taxpayers are being taken advantage of by people who have taken advantage of the county's good deeds. The installation of the electric vehicle charging station was undoubtedly seen as a way to help folks out. While I'm sure some county residents have used this service to stay on the road, others have taken advantage of free energy offered up by the county. I learned at an early age, nothing is free. Everything comes with a cost of some sort. And at this point, the taxpayers in Montgomery County are picking up the tab for free energy. This vehicle is parked overnight. The privacy screens were pulled, closed. The driver is sound asleep. The picture says it was taken at 7:46 p.m. That's not correct. Clearly, it's November 9th, so it's 7:46 in the morning. No front license plate. Probably not a county resident. There is a posted 4-hour limit, but that's normally not a limit unless it's enforced. And I know the sheriff's office has other more daunting issues. Besides, it's not a theft if you're giving away free energy. The vehicle on the right was parked overnight. You can see the presence of a frost. The car sports Georgia plates. Probably not a county resident. The vehicle on the left also took advantage of the county's taxpayers and parked here for most of the day. They left shortly after the tech game was over. I wish I could stop by the county motor pool and fill up my gas tank on my truck. I wish I could get the county to pick up the tab for my electric bills. This is neither fair nor affordable to the county, but if the county is determined to give away free energy, then spread the wealth to all. Tell us where the gas pumps are. Be equitable and inclusive. I appreciate the county's desire to offer help, but I know the county and the taxpayers will be better served after the installation of a credit card reader. That way, users of this service can help pay their fair share, and you might get lucky. It might lead to some conservation measures. Thank you for your time and thoughtful consideration.
Thank you. Okay. Give us just a moment and we'll change the screen back. Next, we have Mary Ann Capp and then Irene Leach.
Good evening. Thank you for your time this evening. My name is Mary Ann Capp. I live at 2602 Sugar Grove Road, Christiansburg, Virginia. I'm part of Shawsville Magisterial District C, and I vote at the Meadowbrook Library. I'm here this evening. First, I'd like to offer to the board, and I'll leave it with the secretary, an Office of Public Participation pen as a souvenir from the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission. They were given out last week at the MVP Boost Open House meeting for the Swan Compressor Station. It's a FERC filing in Elliston location. We're currently in the scoping period for comments to FERC on the environmental and cultural impacts. This board should request a full environmental impact study to be done. I'll briefly make only 2 points here tonight and questions that I will be posing as an intervener to FERC. Number one, regarding public health, the FERC filing shows charts of hazardous air pollutants. You'll see the hazardous air pollutants are indicated by HAP, and greenhouse gas emissions, GHG. You'll see those indicated in the footnotes. in the FERC filing. I urge the board and everyone in the community to look at the numbers in the tables, the data, real numbers of VOCs, what we call SOx, NOx, particulate matter, that will degrade the air quality that we all breathe. They say it meets the national ambient air quality standards. However, it is more pollution than we have now. This will adversely affect children, elderly, disabled, and low-income people disproportionately in that location, and anyone who drives through it or spends any time in that area. You all know the diseases, asthma, heart disease, etc. Who would want more of any of this? Number two, public safety. We're all concerned about explosions. The FERC filing shows the blast zone around the pipeline, the entire length of it. It's the nature of the beast. But we want to know what our increased risks are there with increasing the flow of 600,000 decatherms per day through the pipeline. The Boost plant is going to have 3 industrial Titan turbines. These are very large, and 15 200 kW turbines running 24/7. There's going to be a lot of issues with that you'll hear more from myself and others. There are hundreds of valves, devices, aperturances that will have fugitive gas leaks released. It's the nature of the beast. The workers must wear methane detectors around their necks, the workers on the site, that is, or lapel, their breathing zone, and fire retardant clothing by contractors launching and receiving pipeline inspection gauges. Please go to the FERC site, look at this data for yourself. Some data is missing, like stack height of the large compressors. And in closing, my opinion is this couldn't be a worse site than this. This is the worst site and the worst time for this kind of project in this county as climate change is upon us. We must keep the warming of the planet below the tipping point, and there's only a few years to do so. My ask is for the Board of Supervisors to get real about the negative impacts and also consider the property values in that area where there's a proposed residential development. Think about the trade-offs here. And if I may speak for my opinion, I don't want this, and perhaps many others do not. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Okay, next up we have Irene Leach, and following we have Linda Majors. Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening. I moved to Montgomery County in June of 1984 and have lived next to Hall's Church since that time. Shortly after we arrived, we had to deal with the possibility of a landfill. And as time has gone on, it's felt like our part of the county is kind of targeted for the negative kinds of things. The rail transfer center was proposed, and we weren't happy about that. We weren't happy about the Mountain Valley Pipeline. And now they're looking at the Boost. But there are other things that are being talked about being dumped on us and brought to that part of the county, like a data center. And there's even been talk on the state level about wanting to position some sort of electric generation between Roanoke and Bristol along a new piece of pipeline. Seems to me that is saying that our odds are not good for being able to avoid it. And as Marianne just said, it's important that we really look at what this is all about. Our federal safety regulations are very limited and have been pulled back, and the staff that's available is limited. I've been going to the Pipeline Safety Trust meetings for a number of years now, and this year we didn't even have any representatives from Washington to be a part of the discussions. I was in the situation of living in the evacuation zone of the Mountain Valley Pipeline, and the proposed Atlantic Coast Pipeline was to go straight through my family farm, and we were going to be 4 miles after the Union Hill compressor station. So I started learning about compressor stations more than 10 years ago. And I'm sad that I'm needing to apply that to this community today. Sorry. There's noise. There are problems with water pollution, air pollution. At this point, we don't require that most of the pollutants even be measured. And if it doesn't get measured, it doesn't exist as far as most of our laws are concerned. One of the things that I learned early on is that if you have an electric-powered facility, it's less polluting than if it's gas. And we had no success in Buckingham pushing for that, but if we're going to be forced to live with this, it seems that's something that we ought to be pushing for pretty hard here. We need air monitors, high-quality air monitors. The people who live in close proximity need air monitors in their homes, and good quality ones, not just the standard purple ones that they talk about.
Thank you. That's the end of your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Linda Majors, and following Ms. Majors, we have Penny Nunez.
I'm Linda Majors, 2620 Mount Tabor Road, Blacksburg, Virginia. I'm here to talk about the residents in eastern Montgomery County that are blocked in by Norfolk Southern trains for hours at a time. It's been going on for years. And there'll be residents that actually follow me that talk about this, personally. I have tried since the beginning of November, trying to even get information on the railroad site. And I asked the county administrator to help. And, the county has been very helpful to me. If I have a question of VDOT and the pipeline, they're helpful. And I know that they've tried to be helpful with this. But there has been no information and no help coming. So with this new compressor station, that's going to be blocking in, the train that blocks on Cove Hollow blocks in like 40 to 50 different families. The one on the other side blocks in 19 or 20 families. Even though people might say the compressor station, oh, it's totally safe, everything's great, this is absolutely crazy to have people blocked in so they cannot get in or out with any emergency, whether it's a heart attack, they can't go to work. This is hours at a time. So I would like to ask the board to the county to write a letter to FERC opposing the compressor station infrastructure site because it is safety hazard as long as the Norfolk Southern trains continue to block emergency evacuation for our citizens for hours at a time. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Penny Nunez, and I probably have messed up your last name. I apologize. And then I don't have anybody else who's listed to speak, so we'll open it up to anybody else that wants to speak at that point. Welcome.
My name is Penny Nunes.
Nunes,
That's it, just
okay.
Nunes. I live in Elliston. I'm at the Roanoke County, Montgomery County border, which This is what we're talking about, is the trains. Since 2018, Norfolk Southern has been blocking these crossings for convenience. I saw the train length double, or more than double, before I retired from there in 2023. And I did work there, I retired, but I've been retired 2 years. It's still going on. The trains went from 8,000 or 9,000 feet to upward of 17,000 feet in their own length. I've got a scanner, so I can listen to them, and I do, but you can hear the dispatcher stop the train and say, I want you to stop here and hold tight till we get train so-and-so out of the yard. So they'll stop your incoming traffic in the yard for their convenience to get the trains out. They won't give us a train break. State police can't get them moved because we've had them at Cove. There is a little sign on the crossing that you can call. That's a Norfolk Southern number. They'll say, okay, thanks for telling us, and that's it. They're not going to move the trains. Virginia has got a law on their books. It's 56-412.1. And it tells you they can block it crossing 5 minutes, not 5.5 hours. Not the buses have to take the kids back to school. That's their only evacuation route. It's one way in and one way out. If anything happens and you have to evac, you're going to bottleneck at a train. You can't have people trapped between a pipe and a train. There's no way out. I mean, you can crawl across it. Everybody can't do that. So I'm asking you for your help. And with that law, it says we're supposed to get a train break. You go cut the air, you go scoot, and you should open up the avenue. It's written right in that law. The feds, the FRA, left it to the states to make their own laws. They're not enforced, and Norfolk Southern will ignore you like you wouldn't believe. I worked there. I saw it. They're still doing it. So if we could get some resolution, I want them to not be able to block that crossing, period. They can put it on the train orders. They can put it in the dispatch office. That one don't get blocked. It can happen. They've got one in Shawsville they won't block because somebody died on the other side. They don't block it now. Well, they blocked it and they couldn't get the ambulance in and he died. We don't need that. I will appreciate your help. I can leave an email where you can get a hold of me. We can talk. There's so much more information that 4 minutes can hold. So thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Okay, and that ends the sign-up sheet, but I've already got people queuing up. Come on forward.
Thank you so much for sending this.
Welcome.
My name's Crystal Mello. I live up Poplar Holler in Charlottesville, Virginia. Board members have repeatedly said publicly that they have no role in the decision about the Swan Compressor Station. This is inaccurate. Localities have control over potential projects that would need a permit from DEQ. Specifically, the county gets to determine the suitability of the proposed site and whether a project should be located there. They submit an air pollution activity, sustainability, and value form, and a local governing body certification form. These are meant to be filled out by a local governing body. They are a chance for consideration of a project. They come to be after state permitting laws changed a few years back and lawmakers wanted localities to still have a say. The board could have solicited public feedback. The board could have asked those who'd be impacted by the compressor station what their concerns are. The board could have made the decision to be more transparent. Instead, county lawyers submitted the forms to DEQ on October 27th before the public even knew the project was proposed. Why was this done with the board's knowledge? Why take away for the board to meaningfully consider if a massive compressor station should really be located in that spot, in that community, near those roads, those train tracks, and the waterways? There was an environmental justice study. I do want to appreciate, I want to say I appreciate y'all intervening and making a comment for for us to get an extended comment and for intervening. It wasn't granted, it was just 21 days. That's not normal. This 30-day for comments due the 19th, that's also not normal for a scoping comment period. It's being rushed. There was an environmental justice study that we did on the ground work, not the one that MVP has from a desktop. That community does qualify for environmental justice qualifications by Virginia state law. I'm proud of the people in my town that bag lunches for the needy kids to take home on the weekend and have Chef Boyardee and macaroni and cheese and whatever else. But it's sad to me that they're okay with poisoning those same children who are already disadvantaged. Speaking with the CEO of Roanoke Gas at MVP's listening session, I learned that the compressor station is not needed for residents to obtain gas in Shawsville, and it was just a possibility that they could make that happen. It seemed many other factors needed to take place first, like the housing development, which is a mess. Plenty of people don't want that. And he also mentioned something about Roe. I'm asking this board to please ask FERC to extend this comment period until January, and also to ask for in-person scoping meetings. That way other people can be informed. We had a community meeting. People did not know about this until we sent postcards. They brought postcards we sent them to this community meeting that we held, and that was the first they had heard about this. There needs to be more time. This is a huge project. You're getting ready to talk about data centers. Irene talked about a power plant that was also in the Cardinal News. This takes consideration and time. Please involve the people who will have to live with this for the rest of their lives. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hello, members of the board. My name is Cletus Bohan. I live at 6210 Yellowfinch Lane, which is in the Cove Hollow section. I too am concerned about the crossing there at Cove Hollow because I have spent many hours sitting at that crossing waiting to get either in or out of my home. I've been late for work several times because waiting on the trains. If I'm leaving my house, I can turn around and go back home. That's not as bad as being on the other side wanting to get home and not being able to get through. And all you can do is sit and wait for hours until the train gets moved. And yes, you can call the number and they'll say, well, we'll get it moved, but sometimes it just takes a long, long time. For the folks of us that have to deal with that, it's a pretty big inconvenience. It's pretty aggravating, frustrating. But if there's a real emergency up there, it's going to be a lot worse than that. It's going to be people's lives at stake. So for that reason, I'd also like to ask the county to write a letter to FERC opposing the compressor station infrastructure site. Because until we get this train situation figured out, it's not going to be a safe place for that site. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Welcome.
Hello. My name is Gwyneth Homer. Born and raised at 222 Price Street in Blacksburg. In fact, Miss Biggs was one of my third grade teachers. Anytime I've left the county for a period of a few months or longer, I couldn't wait to get back to the mountains, to the creeks, back home. And now the Mountain Valley Pipeline has applied for permits allowing the construction and operation of 4 additional compressor stations along their route, including 1 in eastern Montgomery County. So as a lifelong resident of the county and an advocate for environmental justice and sustainability, I am asking that you fight this proposal due to the adverse environmental impacts of the project, the company's history of regulatory violations, and its lack of necessity. The proposed site is in a low, as Crystal mentioned, is in a low-income community that already carries significant economic and environmental burdens. People in this community are exposed to air and water pollutants from nearby industrial projects and roadways. This was only exacerbated by the construction of the Mountain Valley Pipeline itself, which resulted in great erosion and sedimentation. We saw how throughout the process, materials and regulations were neglected. And now the pipeline is in operation and is pumping natural gas at high pressure through pipes of compromised quality, risking leaks of the methane itself or of the radioactive materials that are dredged up as well in the fracking process. MVP writes that they will employ pigging best management practices, including liquid drains and construction of smaller scale cleaning pig traps to reduce air emissions. However, what will happen to the liquids from those drains and those pig traps? How can those radioactive materials be handled in a way that they do not contaminate the Eastern Montgomery or any other community? Is there a risk to the communities through which those materials are transferred? According to the company, the project is designed to meet growing natural gas demand in the region and to provide timely, cost-effective access to the growing demand for natural gas for use by local distribution companies, industrial users, and power generation. It is deceiving to claim that the gas will meet local demand when, in reality, the gas will not be consumed by local customers, but rather by regional distributors and industries. Additionally, the U.S. Energy Information Administration actually predicts a 5% decrease in natural gas consumption this winter. Meanwhile, solar energy production has grown at an average rate of 28% per year over the past decade, driven by community and individual residential installation. In addition to the financial assistance offered by tax credits, consumers recognize the need for sustainable electricity sources with low carbon emissions and the contamination of our precious water resources. Such projects will outlast the dramatic boom and bust that many predict for the fracking industry. We have the opportunity to discourage this investment. What will become of the site after the gas has been tapped? It won't be sustainable. It won't be suitable for any use. As previous presenters stated, Montgomery County is unique, and in spirit with their theme, let's be revolutionary and push back against this attack, instead preserving community, environment, and our future. We don't need a Superfund site.
Thank you. Okay. Welcome.
Hi, my name is Joshua Vanna. I live in District F. I'm also here to talk about the proposed MVP boost and Swan Compressor Station. I remember a long time ago, about 10 years ago, when discussing Mountain Valley Pipeline and Atlantic Coast Pipeline, that these things were talked about as a done deal that could not be affected by anyone. None of that turned out to be true. Other things that didn't turn out to be true were most things that the Mountain Valley Pipeline and EQT told the public about how responsible they were and how much they cared about environmental regulations. And what it turned out to be was a project that was so compromised and illegal, basically, necessitated the violation of every meaningful environmental regulation in the book, federal and state. The only thing that secured its completion was an act of Congress by some extremely corrupt individuals and many of their champions, lobbyists, and such. A lot of the people that are often derided in government, but do the real business of commerce. In regard to the MVP Boost project and the Swan Compressor Station that is proposed for Eastern Montgomery County, this is something we found out about in an earnings call with EQT in July. Most of the information that we needed was not available, and then when it did become available through the FERC, we had about 3 weeks to intervene. Now we have a 30-day comment period to continue pouring through an 1,800-page document to, as we always do, take on the burden of addressing the problems associated with these projects. And those problems are, at the top of the list, air pollutants. We're not talking about a tiny little compressor station unit. We're talking about 136,900 horsepower, which is what MVP is claiming. That is bigger than all the units in West Virginia. That is more than twice as big as the Buckingham compressor station that ACP wanted to build in Buckingham County. We're talking about cancer-causing benzene, formaldehyde, volatile organic compounds, hazardous air pollutants, sulfur dioxide. That's in addition to the greenhouse gas. Those are things that people who live in the vicinity of this project are going to have to deal with. And in an age where the federal government is releasing itself of all responsibility to protect people from air pollution, water pollution, waste pollution, it's up to county boards to do that work. I've heard one supervisor say things like, to be for it or against it is just a waste of energy, but make sure we cover everything for our citizens. I don't know what that means, except to me, it would mean advocating for the health and safety of people who live near this project, while citing the clear record of Mountain Valley Pipeline of being incompetent, compromised, corrupt, untrustworthy. As to the board's role and the county's role, I want to talk about the site suitability form that was submitted to Paul Jenkins of DEQ on October 27th. I would like to know if the board was made aware that this was submitted to DEQ. I'd like to know if there were a discussion about it. This is an important thing that the public needs to be involved in.
Interrupt. You're at the end of your time.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Would anyone like a copy of this?
You can give a copy of it to our clerk, and she can make sure that we get it.
Okay. I hope someone else made sure that you got it too.
Would anybody else like to come and address the board during public comment this evening? Okay, seeing nobody else come forward, we're going to close public address. And we do not have an addendum for our agenda tonight, so we'll move to our consent agenda. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Madam Clerk, if you'll call the roll, please.
Ms. Bone?
Aye.
Mr. Kitts?
Aye.
Mr. King?
Aye.
Mr. Fijikowski?
Aye.
Ms. Biggs?
Aye.
Mr. Grafsky?
Aye.
Chair DeMotts?
Aye.
7 ayes.
First item of new business this evening is to establish a separate classification for tangible personal property taxation. That was the subject of our public hearing earlier. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, is there any discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, if you'll call the roll, please.
Just give me 1 second, please. Mr. Kitts?
Aye.
Mr. King?
Abstain.
Mr. Fijikowski?
Aye.
Ms. Biggs?
Aye.
Mr. Grafsky?
Aye.
Ms. Bone?
Aye.
Chair DeMotts?
Aye.
6 ayes, 1 abstain.
Thank you. Next on new business is a resolution to refer to the Planning Commission to study and address data center facilities. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Okay, and Supervisor, or Vice Chair, excuse me, Fijikowski, you brought this up originally with the support of the board. Did you have anything that you wanted to say before we go to discussion?
No, I don't have anything to add to it, just that this is something that was discussed at the VACO conference, that all counties should be aware of it and do some due diligence before you have to deal with it. So I think it's very appropriate.
My takeaway from that was if your code is silent, you need to adjust your code so it addresses data centers. So is there any other discussion about this request that we send to the Planning Commission to begin helping us understand data centers and how they could or could not fit within code? Okay. Seeing none, Madam Clerk, if you'll call the roll, please.
Mr. King?
Aye.
Mr. Fijikowski?
Aye.
Ms. Biggs?
Aye.
Mr. Grafsky?
Aye.
Ms. Bone?
Aye.
Mr. Kitts?
Aye.
Chair DeMotts?
Aye.
7 ayes.
Marty, I might ask for your help in just a moment on this next one. So our next new business item is to schedule a public hearing, proposed ordinance to delay assessment of penalty and interest on payment for the 2025 real estate taxes and personal property taxes due on December 5th, 2025. Marty, can you give us a little bit of information before we take a motion?
Sure. The proposed ordinance that you're being asked to schedule a hearing on is doesn't change the due date. What it does is it changes because of the weather on December 5th. There was a request that the board, in essence, delay the imposition of penalties and interest until the end of December 8th. And so instead of those penalties and interest starting on December 6th at 12:01, if they weren't paid by the 5th, now that rate would be 0 so long as they're paid by December 8th.
Okay. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Okay. Is there any discussion or questions?
Just one thing. I'm glad we done this, but maybe in the future, instead of one day, could we say a week? Because if you remember, over the weekend, it was bad weather too. So next time we do this, if we could do it a week at a time, would that be feasible?
I mean, it's up to you. I was just told to do it until the next business day, which was Monday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I mean, you could extend it now if you wanted. I mean,
just what I'm saying, I don't want to throw a curveball because some people might have come in and then they have to reimburse and things. I just, in the future, if we do this, maybe we could go at least 5 days.
it's discretion of the board. Yeah.
So would you want to go with like an inclement weather policy? So in the event of X, this is what would happen.
Extend it
Otherwise,
5
it's due.
days.
Now, because it's all by ordinance, so we couldn't do that, yeah.
Okay.
But you could set it up, annualize, just have it as something that we approve first thing of the year. No?
I think it has to be a separate ordinance for each occasion.
Yeah.
So it can't be an annualized process. It needs to be handled by ordinance, which is multiple board actions.
And this is only the second time you ever did it. You did it once before during
With COVID.
Right.
Okay, is there any other discussion? Madam Clerk, if you'll call the roll, please.
Mr. Fitchikowski?
Aye.
Ms. Biggs? Aye. Mr. Grafsky?
Aye.
Ms. Bone?
Aye.
Mr. Kitts?
Aye.
Mr. King?
Aye.
Chair Demots?
Aye.
7 ayes.
Okay, and we are now to the report section of our meeting. County Attorney's Report.
The only thing out there, well, a couple of things. I wish everyone a happy holiday coming up. And two, I'll provide the board an update on what they were referring to with those DEQ forms. So look for that later this week.
Thank you. County Administrator's Report.
My gift to you is that I don't have a report this evening, but I do wish you Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays.
Wow. Okay, board members' reports. Let's start with Supervisor King.
I don't have no report, but I would like to ask on this railroad everybody's talking about, is there something we could send a letter, or how would we do that, Marty, on this, where the railroad's blocking roads?
I'm not sure. We'll have to check. Yeah.
Could we look into that?
Yeah.
See what we could do?
Yeah, we'll see what we do.
I've tried to get some answers from them, and I haven't been able to yet, but I'll continue to try and ask other people.
Okay, all right, I appreciate that. And just want to tell everybody I appreciate them coming out Saturday to the Reiner Christmas parade. We had a good crowd out there, and we had good hot chocolate. And Merry Christmas to everybody, and hope everybody has a good Christmas.
Okay. And Supervisor Grafsky?
Just one quick thing. Attended the Planning Commission's meeting last week, and we got a preview from our planning department for the new comprehensive plan, the first couple chapters out of that. I believe we'll get an update next month from them as well, but real excited for the full board to get to see that. The document itself reads really well. I thought it was very engaging and is, text kind of minimal and graphic and infographic heavy, things like that. So just giving you guys a little heads up on that, but look forward to that in January, and happy holidays, everybody.
Supervisor Bone.
I have a couple of things. With regard to the train and the compressor station, does it make sense to reach out to our state delegates and senators and congressmen and U.S. senators to see if they can help us with that? Because it is, like Supervisor King said, it's a horrible situation for the residents there. It's just horrible. Do you have any thoughts? I mean, it's one thing to try to, make contact with Norfolk Southern.
Yes, we can do that if it's the will of the board.
Is it
I would be in favor of that.
thumbs up?
Yeah.
Okay. Is there also anything that we can do to, write a letter to FERC opposing the site for safety reasons at this point in time? Is that possible, Marty?
Yeah, right now we're an intervener, so, if the board wanted to make such a stand, we would, I think, want to pass a resolution of some sort, or tonight make a statement of a resolution, and then we could file that with FERC.
I think that I would think that Montgomery County Fire EMS would be very concerned about that, and I would think that we all would be very concerned about it, considering how much safety is important to us. Now that it's been brought to our attention, I would encourage us to do a resolution or a letter. Do you have a recommendation of either?
I think the board should, if you want to do that tonight, they could make a resolution asking that we send that comment that the board is against the compressor for, safety reasons, and we can, environmental reasons, the crossings, and a lot of the comments meant today, yeah.
Yeah, that'd be great. Are people open to that?
Is that a motion?
I'd like to make the motion.
I'll second it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So we have a motion and a second.
Yeah.
What are you basing it on?
It sounds very dangerous if it's it sounds like someone already died at one crossing because the trains were there, however long ago. And the compressor station just complicates the situation if the train's situation isn't taken care of.
And what is the likelihood of that?
Very small. But even so, why would you want to add something like a compressor station for more problems until the solution to the train is taken care of?
The train issue's been fought for many, many years, and I know I have put my time into it. Mm-hmm. Very, very difficult to work with the railroad. Delegates have been contacted. I know I've talked to some. One of the problems is that it is illegal for the train to sit there, but the officer would have to find who's running the train.
Right.
And you heard somebody mention that some of them are 8,000 feet long. That's about a mile and a half, and you can't get to them. So it's a very complicated issue. It should be simplified, but they have used Elliston and Shawsville as a parking lot. What the individual said is true. They have picked that place because it's rural, and they have to let the traffic through. So I don't know if we're going to be able to find a solution to it. I would love to see a solution to it. I think we have to go higher than our local delegates and state level. I think has to be a federal thing, but the railroads were granted certain authorities back when this country was very young, and the railroads were the people that moved everything. And because they've been granted that, it seems to me they have more authority than a state. But, and I've worked with them before in a previous position where just to get permission to work on a bridge that goes over the railroad track is like pulling teeth, and it's for their own safety, and it still took months and months to get permission to do that. So I guess what I'm saying is you're basing a resolution on this because the railroad train stops. Well, it's going to keep stopping.
Well, it doesn't mean that we can't continue to work on, in every way possible, whatever that is, to make this county as safe as possible and continue to work. Anyway, I know you probably understand where I'm coming from.
Yes, I do.
I would, this is my last meeting, so, I don't have a lot of control here or influence, but I certainly wouldn't want to be in a situation like that if my house lived on that kind of street.
Do you know where the compressor station's going to be?
Yeah,
Do you know how many houses are around it?
I don't know, but it's not 2. I know that.
Do you know where this railroad crossing is they're talking
I do.
about?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know how far that is away from where the compressor station is?
No.
Okay. Do you know how many compressor stations there are in Virginia?
No.
48.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if they have similar problems with trains blocking or whatever, but it doesn't sound to me like we really have a whole lot of evidence or facts. We've heard a lot, but I haven't backed up any of those. I don't know. I don't know if they're legitimate reasons. So
we've gotten a little off course. Let's see, Supervisor Kitts, you wanted to say something?
I just want to say it like this. So I understand where you're coming from, that there's a minuscule chance that we don't have any evidence. I would like to see what the FERC report says on because you and I both know that every company's going to have first, second, and third order of business on how they're going to handle a situation, what their courses of action are based on if something happens. I would be interested to see what their safety report says and FERC says as far as, maybe it's that 1% chance that this crossing has may or may not, because I don't know, and I don't know enough about it to be able to talk like that. I'm just talking about how we look at this for courses of action. Will it affect A, affect B? And if they've done their work like they say they've done and everything's come out, then they should have a report that says, if the train stops at this crossing, it does not affect this or it does affect this. And that way, we'd have a little more basis of information to go forward during this time period that we have. And I would think that they would have this information available. Because if they haven't identified this as a possible action, then there's something to be said about that. Again, I don't know if it directly affects. I'm listening to what people say. I understand what it takes to get emergency vehicles out there. And I want to see what FERC says, and I want to see what MVP says, and how they would mitigate this for our fire and EMS services in the event that something like this happened.
So how would you word a resolution to ask that?
So
very good question.
So what I'm understanding, the request, and please correct me if I've gotten this wrong, Supervisor Bone, is for the county to submit a letter highlighting this safety concern as it relates to the location of the compressor station at this time.
Yes,
it's not to solve the problem, it's to highlight it. And then also broader.
Ask.
Yes. And broader is direction to staff to continue to question and seek answers on the train stopping here, possibly accelerating that to state and federal representatives.
To complement the first part, of the motion. It was to send a letter to FERC to say, we don't want the compressor station here until this problem is fixed.
Okay. And is that, you seconded Supervisor Biggs, that's how you understood
Yeah,
it?
I think what we're trying to do is reflect the concerns that the citizens have brought forward to us tonight, as we always have in the past with this project. And we're reflecting their concerns, and they're valid concerns, in my opinion. And that's all we're doing with this. And I think it's a good move to put it out there. And then, as Supervisor Kitt said, we want some answers, if possible. And as Vice Chair Fidzikowski says, and I certainly agree with this, because going through the, when they were trying to put in all of the transfer station down there, and I had to go all the way to the governor's office with that one, it's very hard to work with North Southern, and they do have that right that was given to them, and it's a difficult situation. But that doesn't mean we don't try, because we represent our folks.
Right, and if it's true that the train can only block it for 5 minutes, they're already violating. You know, that's another thing that has to be investigated. But in the meantime, let's write a letter, because the 30 days, you know, all we can do is ask and tell.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Vicky, do you have what you need to call the roll for a vote?
Madam, do you want to also ask for environmental impact statement on the hazardous, impacts from,
I'll amend my motion to include
I
that.
think that's an important part, because that was brought up.
from air emissions, both from hazardous and from GHG stuff.
Okay, so you're amending your motion to request that also, and you're okay with the amendment, okay? So now, Madam Clerk, Supervisor King.
Are we going to send a letter asking what their, how they going to effectively keep these people safe down there if the train stops? Or are we just going to say, we're not going to support this until you tell us how?
I think, as I understand it, the motion is to highlight this safety concern and for us to work on seeking answers, but to report to FERC and MVP that this is a dangerous situation that we want, as a county, we want them to be aware of.
We want answers to that, but we're not going to say, don't put this here till you answer it? Or is that what we're going to put in?
We don't want them to put it there due to these safety reasons.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Madam Clerk, if you'll call the roll, please.
Mr. Grafsky?
Aye.
Ms. Biggs?
Aye.
Mr. Fidzikowski?
No.
Mr. King?
No.
Mr. Kitts?
Aye.
Ms. Bone?
Aye.
Chair DeMotts?
Aye.
5 ayes, 2 no.
The next thing I want to comment on is I was privy to observe the counting of provisional votes. In other words, the same-day registrants' votes for this last election. This is the first time I've observed behind the scenes in the election office, and I am so impressed with how they run and do what they do. And oh my goodness, the staff clearly go above and beyond what a 5-day-a-week, 8-hour-a-day person does. And I would expect that in the next budget that they'll be asking for even more people, considering how much the same-day registration and provisional voting has impacted our county. So a couple of things that I noticed. I also was an observer for the recount for the mayor's race last Friday. And first, I was very impressed with how many people fill in the dots very well. Who would have known? Who would have known? I was so disappointed to see how many people didn't turn over their ballot to vote for town council and mayor. Unbelievable. For democracy, I would highly encourage this board to support the election department's needs to make sure that we're providing our constituents the opportunity to vote in the ways that they are legally allowed to vote. Thank you. And then the last thing is, thank you very much for being wonderful colleagues. I've enjoyed working with each and every one of you. And thank you to Montgomery County for allowing me to serve.
Supervisor Biggs.
Well, on that note, Supervisor Bone, good luck with your next chapter in New York, and keep in touch. And I want to thank Chris Taylor for coming tonight from New River Valley Community Services, serving on that board as chair this year. I have seen that his work has really made a difference in the staff morale and with clients, and I want to thank you for coming and sharing tonight. And then following sort of what you said, Supervisor Bone, do we want to let the Office of Elections know that we appreciate their work? Because I was told by one person to tell the county, thank you for lunch. I didn't know if that came from, I know we paid for, to have the recount, but yeah.
It was really good.
Yeah. Is that something we want to do, like from our board, to thank them for their work? Is that appropriate? Okay. I would
encourage us to, if it's not
if there's
too
consensus.
unordinary.
Yeah.
Because some people haven't worked a 40-hour week for 3 or 4 months.
Yeah, okay. Is there consensus to do that? Just send a thank you from the board. Okay, all right, and then last but not least, just want everyone to have a safe holiday season, whatever holiday that you're celebrating. Just be safe and share with your family and friends, and that's it.
Supervisor Kitts.
So I had a chance to sit down with DSS today, and they were talking to me about and they walked us around. So inside DSS, they did a Candyland board, and they did decoration of hallways, and then we helped them vote on what hallway was the best, and they really went all out to try to. It got personal, like they had peppermint scents, things like that. But one of the biggest things we saw was there were multiple bags of food and clothing and items like that. And I asked them, I was like, if we're going to have this, be able to talk about things tonight, what do you need? And everybody tries to give the right things. They try to give, want to give them food. Well, they still got to put it all together. They want to give clothing. They still put it all together. But the thing is, they need stuff all year round, not just at Christmas and not just at this time of year. I asked them what they needed most, and it was gift cards to certain big box stores or grocery stores, preferably big box stores, because they can do grocery and clothing. So if you feel the need to give and you want to go, you can take it to DSS, drop it off there. I believe, give you a receipt because it's a tax deduction or tax deductible. But if you're in the giving spirit, I would highly recommend that this is what you take there. Yes, right now for food closets and things like that, there's a lot of need. But if you want to go through DSS, gift cards are the way to go to try to help them. And that way, during the course of the year, if children come in, and some children are going to have problems on Christmas and things like that, they still have the ability to take care of them. So I would just like to put that out there. And Hope everybody has a happy Merry Christmas and happy holidays. And today's the first day of Hanukkah. So just I hope everybody is safe and everybody has a good and joyous time. So thank you.
Vice Chair Fidjakowski.
I was able to attend the Christiansburg Christmas parade, and I got to ride in a very unusual vehicle. I got to test drive the armored car that we have in the sheriff's office.
Test drive?
Well,
I'm jealous.
I was in the shotgun seat, so. But it was a very nice vehicle, very well built, and hopefully that's going to protect our SWAT teams when they have to go into an extremely dangerous situation. And I thought it was unusual that it hadn't been here very long, and at our employee recognition dinner that we had, when the sheriff was there, I went up to talk to him, and he said that the armored car has already been out 3 times, and it was out right then. The commander of the SWAT team came in, got a piece of turkey, and he had to turn around and leave to go answer a call. So I think it's money well spent, and it should really help keep those guys safe. So I was glad to do that. So that's all I got.
Okay, and I think I got everybody. Okay. I have just 2 things. First, I wanted to start with a congratulations to the Montgomery County Animal Care and Adoption Center for a really cute and successful, very well-attended Happy Paula Days event this past weekend. I stopped by and was able to engage with staff and volunteers, got to pet some cats, which is always the highlight of any day for me, give some cat treats to them. And then they also had several booths set up in the lobby area with middle school aged, I think it was Beta Club members volunteering to staff the booths for popcorn and decorate the cat tree. And it was just a very well-attended event to kind of stock the shelter and bring more awareness. So congratulations to the Montgomery County Animal Care and Adoption Center for a really great event. And I also want to say thank you to Sarah for your service, for the 8 years that you have spent working on this board. It has been great to get to work with you and great to get to know you. And I really wish you the absolute best and most happiness in the next chapter of your life. It's been a real pleasure. And then seeing no other business before the board, this meeting is adjourned.
And now I have your attention. It's 9:02. I hereby call this December 15th, 2025 meeting of the Montgomery County Public Service Authority to order. So we have a quorum. And next we have public address. And then we're going to put that. So would anyone like to come forward and speak? If so, you have 5 minutes. Seeing none, go ahead and close public address. So the next for consideration is the consent agenda for approval of October 6th, 2025 minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Ms. Demott?
Aye.
Mr. Fitchukowski?
Aye.
Mr. King?
Aye.
Ms. Biggs?
Aye.
Mr. Grass?
Aye.
Mr. Kent's?
Aye.
6 ayes.
Next, we're going to go in the work session. Have a motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Madam Secretary, please call the roll again.
Ms. Demott?
Aye.
Mr. Fitchukowski?
Aye.
Mr. King?
Aye.
Ms. Biggs?
Aye.
Mr. Grafsky?
Aye.
Mr. Kent's?
Aye.
6 ayes.
Okay, Ms. Hill, can you go ahead and introduce what we're going to talk about, the Elliston Water Study?
I'll be glad to. Dennis Amos is here with Herm Profit. As you know, we've contracted with them earlier in the year to conduct a study of the Elliston wastewater capacity, and he's going to present that to you this evening. And then he will also entertain any questions that you might have. Then he's going to do our second presentation under work session as well. Thanks for being here, Dennis.
Thank you.
It's on the far right.
Go over to your left just a little bit. It's like lost above the pools.
Right there?
What pool? Which pool?
That one. That's it.
Thank you.
All right, thank you for the opportunity to be here, and I'll go over a real brief presentation on the work that we've completed, the results of the study, and then entertain any questions you may have.
You might have to.
All right.
There you go.
So a brief summary of our project. There was a potential or a proposed development adjacent to the Eastern Montgomery Elementary School that was proposed to the county, and the PSA was interested in finding out if the development could be supported by the existing infrastructure. The development had 409 residential connections at 250 gallons per day per connection. That was going to introduce 102,250 gallons per day of wastewater into the existing infrastructure. The main things we wanted to look at to evaluate the capacity of were the elementary school pump station and subsequently the Crozier pump station that shares a common force main with that elementary school pump station. Pump Station C, the Elliston Lafayette wastewater treatment plant, and the gravity collection system between the elementary school pump station discharge point and the wastewater treatment plant. There's a map shown in the exhibit here that outlines where the main components of what I just described to you are in relation to one another. The elementary school pump station is on the far left-hand side of the exhibit. That pump station pumps into a gravity collection system that then flows into Pump Station C, which then pumps further into another gravity collection system that ultimately discharges into the Elliston Lafayette wastewater treatment plant. As mentioned earlier, the Crozier pump station shares a common force main with the elementary school pump station, so those two components had to be looked at together. The results of the evaluation showed that with the added wastewater contributed by the proposed development, the elementary school pump station needed to have an additional capacity of 62,170 gallons per day. The rated capacity of that pump station is 46,080 gallons per day. Pump Station C has a rated capacity of 144,000 gallons per day. So with the new proposed development, it will still have an available capacity after the development of approximately 24,000 gallons per day. The Elliston Lafayette Wastewater Treatment Plant has a rated capacity of 250,000 gallons per day. So after the development is fully built out, there will still be 77,750,000 gallons per day of capacity at that wastewater treatment plant. We also looked at lands that were adjacent to the collection system that could be developed in the area. Those lands would potentially contribute another 49,500 gallons per day of wastewater. If you apply that to the wastewater treatment plant's available capacity, even after the development of the proposed 409 residential units, you still have 28,250 gallons per day of capacity available in that wastewater treatment plant. So with that, you'll note that the elementary school pump station with the 409 residential connections was needing an additional capacity, so it didn't have the capacity available to serve the entire development. So there are some upgrades that would need to happen to that pump station. Those include a new electrical service, new pumps and controls, and new rails for those new pumps, a generator and a transfer switch. The estimated cost of those improvements are listed in your exhibit. Approximately $250,000 for the electrical service, the pumps and the controls would be needed to get that pump station up to the capacity that would be required for the full development. The generator and transfer switch is estimated between $60,000 and $80,000. There's also a small section of the gravity system that would need to be upgraded as well. Unfortunately, it is short in length, but it does cross Route 460, so it's pretty costly to upgrade that. The estimated cost of that is between $110,000 and $220,000, depending on if you run a new force main under 460, which can be directionally drilled, or if you run a new gravity main under 460, which would have to be bored. So overall, to get that full 409 unit development into your system, the estimated cost of the recommended improvements is between $420,000 and $550,000. It is noteworthy that without upgrading the elementary school pump station, approximately 160 units can be added onto that station without any substantial upgrades to the pump station itself. The gravity collection system that's mentioned here would still need to be upgraded with those 160 new connections. So I'd be happy to try to answer any questions that anyone has.
So before I get to my point, because I got a couple questions. Okay. Anything? Hold on.
So I guess I'm trying to wrap my head around the pump station at the elementary school that, as you stated, obviously doesn't have the capacity to support the full development, yet in these, like, so how do the recommended improvements address the capacity at the elementary school, or are we just bypassing that altogether and taking everything to pump station C from, or potentially would just direct there? Is that kind of the logic there? I just want to make sure I understand the kind of logistics of getting it from point A to point C.
Okay. Let me see if I can back this up a bit. So, starting at the wastewater treatment plant, for example, it has capacity for the full development. The next item further upstream from there is pump station C. It also has capacity for the full development.
But the development is nearer the elementary school,
The development's right around the elementary school, yes, sir.
Anthony,
So the
does it
elementary
help
school-
to know that it doesn't that it's linear? It doesn't bypass anything. There's no way to bypass any of those stations on the route. It has to make all the stops.
Yeah, and I guess that was kind of my
Yeah.
question then, is so the elementary school pump station doesn't have the capacity for the full project as it was previously proposed.
Correct.
Regardless.
That's correct.
Okay.
So it's the elementary school pump station that needs to work.
Yeah.
It can take 160 connections without any upgrades, but if for the full 409 unit development, it has to be upgraded.
Okay.
Pump station C and the wastewater treatment plant are good. There is a small section that's shown on this exhibit that is, if you follow the red line down to where it crosses under 460, it turns to yellow and crosses under 460. That's the little segment that has to be upgraded to support any future development, even the 160 connections on the line work side of things. So, does that answer your question?
So does any of this work increase the capacity of the elementary school pump station?
So if we go to the recommended improvements, the new electrical service, the new pumps, and the new controls, that's $250,000, that would increase the capacity.
That would increase the capacity?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Go ahead, Tom.
On the 160 homes, you said we'd have to, on that slide you got now, we'd have to upgrade that anyway with 160.
Yes, sir. That little section of the gravity system there is right at its capacity already.
Right.
So if we add 160 more, we need to upgrade that segment.
Now, what is the price tag on that little section?
That is the $110,000 to $220,000 line item there under the collection system. And that depends on whether you run a new gravity main under 460 or if you put a new force main under 460.
And just say if we did that, would it be capable of holding any more, like other landowners down there want to build or anything? Would it be able to handle any other homes beside that 160?
We would want to design it to do so, yes.
It would?
Yes, we would need to do that. It will not now.
No, that's what I'm talking about. If we do this $220,000 thing, it will be able to handle more than 160 homes.
Yes. Yeah, we would want to design it.
Yeah.
In taking into account the future land use down there. So if we're going to put something new across there, we'd want to design it to accommodate that.
All right, thank you.
Do you have anything? So my question is this. To do the 160 no matter what, the collection system needs to be upgraded, period.
Yes, sir.
And you're saying that it probably needs to be upgraded anyway for any future growth even below that 160, that there are changes and adjustments that need to be made for this.
Correct.
So it's one of those things kind of has to be done based on moving forward. And this is just covering wastewater, not even covering the sewer part of it, but not the water portion, which is a whole nother ballgame. And that's one of the biggest things I was looking at, because we're talking 200, possibly between 110 and 220, best guess, depending on how we do it, direct fed or gravity, correct? Or force fed? Force fed. So we're kind of caught in between right there. Don't really have a lot of choices no matter what we do, whether it goes that way or not, correct?
So yeah, any future development down there, that little segment of your system is right at capacity now. So any future development, we would want to start looking at what we need to do to that crossing under 460 to give it the additional capacity that would be needed.
Okay. Anything else before we move on? Go ahead.
So what you're saying is this little section here, we can't add anything down our homes or anything until that is repaired, replaced, whatever. Is that what you're saying?
It's right at its capacity, yes, sir. Now, if you added one home, that's not going to really show up, but any significant development there, that's the critical area in that whole system that by the model is right at its capacity now. Yes, sir.
But the only reason I'm asking that question is because if our planning department or something has people come in and want to build houses, 3 or 4 families or whatever, well, it'll hold that, right?
Yes. Yeah, that's going to be so insignificant that.
So how many houses do you think, with this way it is, how many we could add down there?
It kind of comes down to where they're added. The elementary school pump station has a huge wet well in it now. And that thing only cycles like once a day or twice a day or something. If you added 3 or 4 homes to that system, you're hardly going to notice a difference in the cycling of that pump station. The Crozier pump station, on the other hand, has a relatively small wet well. So if you added 3 or 4 homes to that one, you likely would see a little bit of a difference in the cycling of that pump station. And the time that this crossing of 460 gives you issues is when both of those pump stations run at the same time. So it's kind of a little bit of a tricky question to answer, but the more likelihood of those 2 pump stations running at the same time that you have, the more of an issue this crossing of 460 is going to be for you.
Okay, thank you.
What I'm hearing is that it is ill-advised to build any additional houses in this area. And I know, we're getting into, 1, 2, 3, they might be okay, but I'm hearing it's at capacity now. And so a 10-house neighborhood or a 15-house neighborhood or a small subdivision or an 12-unit apartment building, it would be ill-advised. And so looking at these recommended improvements, it feels like, at least to me, elementary school pump station, those 2 line items, possibly aren't something that the PSA board needs to consider at this time, but the collection system might be an improvement for the board to consider to allow any type of additional housing, whether it be one single-family home or a small neighborhood or a large neighborhood. We're really constraining any landowner in that area, regardless of their acreage, if we do not address that collection system in the middle.
And from what I understand, we're right at capacity, and we're talking like a couple of houses, but we know that's a growth area that people are looking at, and it's one of those things. It's not like it's not an if, it's a when kind of thing. Okay, thank you very much. I greatly appreciate your time on this one.
Absolutely.
Do we have, is there follow-up for us on this?
Give me 1 second on this one.
Okay.
So, trying to work through this, I'm gonna look at y'all and trying to figure out, do we want to move forward with having the PSA look into how we want to prioritize this for this portion for the collection system?
My
Thought process on this.
My thoughts on it would be to at least look at the gravity main. And Mr. Amos, we can do these parts without having to do all three, correct? So if we did just the gravity main or force main under Route 460, that would be a system upgrade, even if we don't do the top two items. Is that correct?
Yes.
So that would be
We can piece it out.
that would be my desire, is to see what we can do about addressing the collection system.
So, do we need to put this to a vote, or we just need to get a consensus?
Can't vote in work session.
So, well, I mean, we come out of work session and bring it up as new business.
It depends on, are you looking like to move forward with it and?
Or to have them do a study of more
yeah.
detail of what the collection system would entail?
Can we put this under new business to bring it up like that?
Yeah, or you can get consensus for that work to be done. I think you could do that.
We would need,
Keep it as that.
we need a budget amendment.
Yeah.
I
It's
have a
new business.
question. Is there money to do that?
We do have money to do that size project in that range.
So about how much money would that be?
220 is 110 to 220.
But that'd be something he'd have to what would you recommend, the gravity or the force? What's going to do the system better?
I would prefer to discuss that with the whole PSA or the
You're looking
utility
at 'em.
director. Yeah, right?
The utility director, I think what we might
down
need
there
him
and-
to do is to authorize him to do a further study of which collection system would be the best. And
Looks
How about
like he
this?
done
I
done
want a little
study.
more information on this to be able to move forward in a manner that I feel comfortable with. Right now, I don't. I don't know how, I'm looking at y'all like we're getting a little bit here, a little bit there, but I'd rather be able to move forward and have a collective idea on what's the best option of the two. So we can do that without going and putting it as new business and just doing it as a consensus at this
Yeah.
point to move forward and have staff move forward with looking into this. Correct?
with the help of Hurt and Profit.
Yes.
And there would be a cost to that we can afford to do.
Yes.
And have staff look into that. I just want to get a consensus right now that we look at this before we sit here and jump.
We can ask Hurt and Profit to tell us how much it would cost to do a study of just this collection system. And then if it's within the budget, we can authorize that work to be done. If it's not, we would need to come back to you to get a budget amendment.
Because I'd like to sit down with the Director of Utilities before we sit here and throw something out there and give him an opportunity to have some input into this.
Well, I'm just bringing up the costs because we haven't funded other things that need to be looked at, so.
And we're going to come up under that for new business, and I want to be able to look at that in the order that we get it. But right now, this one's at capacity. It's known at capacity. And my thought process in this is to sit down with the Director of Utilities and allow it to go forward with his input, and then come back to the other part we're going to cover in new business. We're good?
Yeah.
Good. Have a consensus on that? Okay. Thank you.
The second, the second item that Mr. Amos is going to go over for us is related to the system-wide study. He's going to talk about the original scope that Hurt and Profit was hired to do, and then we've provided additional guidance since that time, and he's going to talk about the steps that would be necessary to get to a full comprehensive plan of the whole system.
All right, thank you. So I'll begin with just going over the scope of the original contract that we've been working on. It included sewer modeling for the Prices Fork and Merrimack systems. That's approximately 62,000 feet of line work within your collection system. That also included flow monitoring within those systems for a 6-month period. We do that flow monitoring so we can determine a base I&I flow range for what's coming into your system that's not attributed to your customers. We want to see how much rainwater, surface water, groundwater is getting into your system. So we do flow monitoring for a 6-month period. We also did water modeling for the entire PSA network. The final report that was included in the original scope of services was to recommend an asset management projects based on reliability issues. That's for water and for those particular areas of the sewer system. We were going to do capacity evaluation based on future demands that were recommended in your comprehensive plan that's currently being finalized. And we were going to identify future expansion projects that would be needed to support those future demands as well.
When was that original scope of services procured?
That was in December of 24, right at the end of 24, yes. So then we had a work session on December the 8th and talked with several of the county staff about how to best amend those scope of services to come up with the revised scope that we'll talk about tonight. On the water system side of things, the water system condition assessment would include or will include historical repair and break records that will be provided by Montgomery County Utility Department. We will do a visual inspection of 14 pressure reducing stations, 6 master meters, and the Twin Boulders Water Treatment Works facility. And we will prepare a criticality map that provides a visual of where your critical infrastructure is located based on the results of these criteria. And we will provide all of this data to you in GIS shapefiles so that you can access and utilize it on your own. We'll also look at the water system capacity assessment, which will, that will look at the existing capacity of your water system, as well as the future capacity using your comprehensive plan data. And we will prepare a report and make a recommendation or a presentation to this board. On the sewer side of your system, we'll do a sewer system condition assessment. So this will be a system-wide condition assessment based on pump station data, both runtime and flow meter data from your pump stations. We'll also do drawdown tests and perform visual inspections of your 17 wastewater pump stations and all 3 of your wastewater treatment plants. This adds approximately 135,000 feet of system that was not in the original scope on the wastewater side to the scope of the revised study. We'll also do a sewer system capacity assessment. We'll develop a sewer model, much like the water model, only this is on the sewer side of the collection system for areas that were identified by the utility department. We'll do an existing capacity evaluation as well as a future capacity evaluation using the demand data from your comprehensive plan. And then we'll prepare a report summarizing the results of those efforts and make a presentation again to this board on the findings. And then also we will prepare an asset management plan for your sewer system that collects and compiles your pipe material, install dates, pump station characteristics for your entire collection system. So on the wastewater side of things, we're going from a zeroed in evaluation of Prices Fork and Merrimack areas to now we're going to be looking at the entire wastewater collection system. So those are the main highlights of the original scope of service and the proposed revised scope of service. So I'd be happy to try to answer any questions you have on that.
And before the questions, so the work session that was on December 8th that Dennis referred to was a staff meeting with several Hurt and Profit staff and county staff as well. And we talked about what we would need to add to the current study in order to make this as comprehensive as we could. These are choices of how we could move forward in order to do that, and the direction that we need after your questions are answered is if you want us to move forward with part of this, if you want us to move forward with all of it, if you want Dennis to work to get more cost analysis of what it would cost to do this entire study or pieces of it.
Okay, I'll come around for questions. I'll start on this side this time.
Cost. I'm going to keep asking that question.
Okay. So you got anything? I'll come back to you in a second.
Do you have cost estimates?
I do, if you'd like me to share.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead, please.
So would you rather it be broken down by item or just the overall?
Go ahead and shock me and give me
Yeah,
the ballpark of the whole thing.
Yeah.
And then we can go from there.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to come at this as a nickel and dime approach because this is overall. I look at this as something I've talked to other people on this board that this is foundational, while our comprehensive plan has a tendency to be a little more aspirational. And I think that the importance of this, at least in my eyes, gives us a good map going forward. So go ahead and let me have it.
Okay.
Just let me see where we're at.
All right. So for the revised scope, we're still finalizing the number, but we're going to be somewhere between 275 and 325,000 on that revised scope. And again, that gets you from looking at a really focused area of your wastewater collection system to looking at the entirety of your collection system. That's where the bulk of the cost is. There's a little bit of additional cost on the water side, but we already had much of the scope of the water side already in the original scope of service. So the bulk of the additional cost is on the sewer side.
And what's the timeline on that? Let's just hypotheticals.
So if we add scope on the sewer side, we would like to have the opportunity to do that flow monitoring like we did for Prices Fork and Merrimack, so we can identify how much I&I is in your system. The amount of I&I directly impacts how much capacity you have because, with the I&I basically uses up part of your capacity. So we really need to know what that is. So, that was a 6-month effort. That's what we would like to have for the entirety of that sewer component. There'll be some deliverables that we can make prior to that 6-month period, but for the overall final document with the final recommendations and the presentation to the board, it would be a 6-month effort.
Can you define I&I for people who might be watching at home who don't know what that means?
Sure. It's inflow and infiltration. So that is rainwater, surface water, groundwater, anything that's getting into your collection system that's not supposed to be there.
It's getting into the sewer collection system through leaks or other
Correct.
issues like that.
I'm going to kick over here to April. Sorry.
Can you go back to the original scope of services? I'm a little confused because I thought, and clearly incorrectly, that the original scope of services was system-wide, and it does not appear to be system-wide. It appears that we looked just in one point for the sewer. How much was the original study? Like, how much did it cost? And I know we're already a year in.
Mm-hmm. So the original study was 170,000.
Okay. And so to complete the study, to do sewer modeling system-wide, and all of the other items would be 200, and I'm sorry, I can't remember exactly what you said.
It's going to fall somewhere between 275 and 325. We're still finalizing that number, but that's where it's going to fall.
Okay.
Total or in addition to the 172?
In addition, yeah. So again, the original project had roughly 62,000 feet of system associated with it, and then we're adding.
Yeah, and my confusion is just I didn't realize that we had requested only a portion of the system. I thought, and clearly incorrectly, that we had requested the whole system.
Gotcha.
So where would this money come from if we want to do the whole system? Because, again, the reason I keep bringing this up is for my Brush Mountain people that we told we'd have to get a grant to do a study, and we never got a grant and all that kind of stuff. I know this is more important as far as looking at the whole system, but where is the money going to come from?
We've collected facility fees so far year to date that exceed the budgeted amounts that we could use that would cover almost all of this.
Okay.
I'm still trying to wrap my head around some of this. So it's 170,000 that we spent on just that small portion, and now we're going to do another 275 to 350 to roll it all up into one. Correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, and again, a big part of on your water side. Now, on the water side of things, we already in the original scope, we're looking at the whole system, the whole county. So on the water side, we were looking at the whole county. There is some additional expense in looking at the 14 pressure reducing stations, the 6 master meters, and the Twin Boulder site, and incorporating some of the historical data that the utility department's working on getting to us. So there is a little bit of expense associated with those items, but again, the big bulk of the added cost is on the sewer side.
Steve, you have anything?
Yeah, I appreciate April bringing up that because I was under that same impression. So,
Good,
so
I
now
don't
the
feel
water,
crazy.
it says water modeling for the entire PSA network. That was under the 170,000?
Yes.
Okay, so that was already covered. Yeah. I mean, part of me wants to say we should take bites at this instead of doing the whole thing, because I would like to see the whole thing done in order to set up our new director in the right direction, because he'll know what he's getting into and what's there underground. Whereas I think there was a lot of questions before. I should say right now there are. But I'm not really clear. If we have the money, should we do it now, or should we just take smaller bites and work it over a period of time? I don't know the answer to that.
Right now, we have 200, the facility fees exceed the budget amount by about $270,000 for the current fiscal year.
Just my concern, 170, another 325,000. I mean, you're talking almost $500,000. Not being mean to anybody, but isn't this something, if we're gonna go $500,000, this is something we ought to put out for bids?
And it's $500,000 without changing anything. That's just finding out what we got.
Yeah.
You mean to do the study? put it out for bid to do the study.
Yeah. And my concern is this board, I think it was last year, we got water lines in Elliston, Shawsville, needs to be replaced. Just a couple of months ago, we had 2 more busts down there. Before we study, we need to fix our infrastructure that we have, which this board said we need to fix. I mean, we got more Band-Aids on that pipe in Elliston and Shawsville than we got actual pipe.
Anthony, would you like to add anything?
I mean, everything that's been brought up is, is worth discussing, right? I mean, I'm with my supervisors down here on the end, surprised and a little disappointed at, not disappointed, but surprised at what that original scope was, knowing that we have been pressing for this, more comprehensive study this whole time. But I guess, what if we've got Price's Fork and the Merrimack wastewater system modeled out, what would be the next logical chunk to break off? Like how would we parse it out if we were to parse it out, or what would the recommendation be for looking at this system in sections? And I would imagine that if we piecemeal it, then we're having to duplicate some efforts. And so, 275 to 325 becomes 350 to 450, right? But, we just heard before this, we're going to need somewhere between 110 and 220 to replace some lines. And we've got bad water pipes, it sounds like, potentially. Now, like that kind of so like what Supervisor King brought up, is that going to be identified in this final report from this original scope of work, like the condition and?
Could you go to the next slide?
Okay.
So yeah, that first bullet point there under the water system condition assessment, the historical rate, repair and break record data, that would fall under what Mr. King's talking about.
So that at least, so we know where our hotspots are, or will know where our hotspots are in the system.
Okay. The joys of being the chair now is I have to kind of restrain myself from some of the thoughts that I have, and I appreciate that many of you have brought up some of the concerns that I've had, because I've brought this up with y'all in the past. So I appreciate everybody carrying the water on this one, no pun intended. But and it's not you, because you did what you were told to do in the capacity that you were told to do it, and I appreciate that. I'm a little miffed that we're at this point anyway, and I think you already know this because I've talked with some people that work with you on my thought process on this, and I just don't think we're being as fair as we could have for a new director of utilities coming in, because we didn't do what we needed to do at the beginning, and now it's going to cost us a little bit more in order to accomplish what we wanted to do in the first part. I would be interested, because I'm hearing it from other members on the board, to see what it would be to do it in levels and steps and priorities, and I think that needs to be done. But from the feeling that I got from earlier was that we can't really move forward on what we want to do with it as a county until we know where we are as a whole. And it doesn't do any good to Band-Aid and piece it together, because we're just kicking this can down the road to somebody else and making it somebody else's problem. And I think this is where I have the issue with this. I don't know how the process works because we're talking an extensive amount of money, that it does go to a bid process, because I'm not sure what the requirements are on that, especially since I believe they're under retainer for that.
Yes.
So I just want to address that concern. Do you got something you can tell me on that one?
They are under contract. We have other A&E firms that are under contract as well. I might propose that since there is, you've all posed a lot of questions, maybe Dennis could come back at our next meeting and have more broken out about cost of these various phases of the potential change of scope.
I think that's what I'm getting from everybody, and I would like to see that before we move forward so we can get this done in the steps and prioritized. And I would appreciate a slide for timeline and a slide for showing cost and phases that it would fall into, and how that would work within a timeline so we can lay it out. And if it is workable, that we're able to budget it and sit down with the Director of Utilities and figure out the best path forward based on recommendations. But this is a sooner rather than a later thing, at least in my eyes.
And we can look into the procurement aspect as well and get some information to you about that.
I just want to agree with Member Grafsky that just going into it, acknowledging if we break it into a phased approach, it is going to increase the cost considerably. So we could be paying for it over a longer period, but it's going to cost a lot more to do it that way. Am I correct in that? Because it's start, stop on your work over and over again versus start and then finish.
So at this point, adding this scope really wouldn't have impacted much at all, really, the cost from the original scope. Like if this would have been the original task from the beginning, the cost would be what it is.
No, I mean, if we take the revised scope and say, we want to do all these things, but we want to break it out into 4 phases, I think the overall cost then is going to go up.
It would.
Versus if we just said, we're taking care of 100% of this.
Right. Yeah, so if we do it all now, we haven't really added any of those extra costs.
Right.
But if it's over 4 phases, it would.
So from what I'm hearing from everybody, I'd like to see at least a couple of courses of action. One, as a whole, and be able to move through as a single action. 2, breaking this down into priority phases in order to handle this over a limited amount of time, but extending it out past where it would be if you did a singular study. Mm-hmm. And that way we're able to allocate costs based on time and based on need. It's really hard being the chair stuff because I really have to organize my thoughts, and I'm not able to do what I like to do and just come from here. But is that good with everybody?
It's great.
So we're solid on that across the board. Okay? All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So can I get a motion to move out of work session, please?
So moved.
Second.
Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Ms. Demont?
Aye.
Mr. Fidjakowski?
Aye.
Mr. King?
Aye.
Ms. Biggs?
Aye.
Mr. Grafsky?
Aye.
Mr. Kitts?
Aye.
6 ayes.
All right, next to new business.
Right.
We've got 3 items on the agenda. And who are we going to get to introduce this? Who's going to bring this up?
Justin Shepard, our new Director of Utilities, is going to discuss the Hurricane Helene VDH grant that we received. The next 2 items of business, the first one is to discuss the grant that was received. The grant was applied for in May of 2025, and then the second action item is if the board is willing to accept that grant funding to amend the budget to reflect that. And this is Justin Shepard. He's been with us since the end of October. He's our utility director. We're so pleased to have him too.
Well, I'm glad to be here. Appreciate you having me. I'll let you know that since I started a few weeks ago, everything's
been going really well. The staff here has treated me very well, and the PSA was set up good. I really felt like home last several weeks, so just wanted to pass that along to everybody.
And he's modeling one of the new uniforms as well.
That's right. So on the Hurricane Helene Recovery Grant, it was a grant that was requested in response to some of the damage that was caused by Hurricane Helene, and to mitigate some of the challenges that were faced during that hurricane with the boil water notice primarily. In that grant, there were some requests made for some access road rehab and some ditch rehab. Some of the water facility buildings, like the pump houses or the valve houses at some of the water tank sites, are leaking, or they've had some damage, some roofs and some different things after the hurricane. There's several fence repairs, some fallen trees at one of the locations. So all of that was covered in the grant, in addition to a new water storage facility tank on Olwell Road, along with 7,000 feet of associated pipe and a booster station to feed that tank. Talked about one of the challenges that the PSA faced during the boil water notice, and that was being able to adequately supply that area with water during the time where everybody was flushing water and disinfecting their tanks and that sort of thing. So that's where the tank came in, and then the booster station will be feeding that tank where it's placed on top of Olwell. The grant itself, the total's just over 3.1, almost $3.2 million, and it is 100% principal forgiveness. It does include all design, inspections, and any other associated fees for each of those projects. So,
So what we would like for you is, if you have any questions for Justin, or if not, if you're, the first action item is to accept the grant award.
I make a motion that we accept it.
no, second?
Second.
Any discussion?
No, you accept the money.
I think it's great that we received it. It was a surprise, so that's really great.
Big surprise.
Big surprise.
Big surprise. Didn't see Yeah, this I one know there coming. were several applications, and we were the only one that I know of in the area that received that grant.
I think that's fantastic.
Hurt and Profit did help us immensely prepare that.
Yep. So if I don't have any more discussion, Madam Secretary, can you please call the roll?
Ms. Demont?
Aye.
Mr. Fitchukowski?
Aye.
Mr. King?
Aye.
Ms. Biggs?
Aye.
Mr. Grasky?
Aye.
Mr. Kitts?
Aye.
6 ayes.
The next item is related to amending the budget for the grant.
So it's approval.
No, he'll get to come back in a minute.
So is there a motion to approve the second item on the agenda, which is the approval to amend the 25-26 fiscal year water budget for the VDH grant for the Hurricane Helene?
Motion.
Second.
Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Ms. Demont?
Aye.
Mr. Fitchukowski?
Aye.
Mr. King?
Aye.
Ms. Biggs?
Aye.
Mr. Grasky?
Aye.
Mr. Kitts?
Aye.
6 ayes.
Last item under new business, is there a motion to approve? This is the third item, approval of a resolution right now to remove PSA directors from workers' compensation coverage.
Right. Board members typically are not covered under workers' compensation policies, but and staff recently realized that the PSA board is covered under workers' compensation. The way that the board is secure with insurance purposes is under general liability because, as I said, you're not employees technically. So in 2006, there was a resolution approved to include the board members on our workers' comp policy, and we didn't think that was necessary. We spoke to our insurance provider, VACORP, and they agreed. And so this resolution would reverse that resolution from 2006. I think there's a question.
Yeah, it's been sneaking around there since 2006. Surprise.
I don't know why we did it. Do you remember, Marty?
I cannot.
I'll make the motion.
You got a second on this one, guys?
Second.
Any discussion?
Yeah, I wonder if we go out on a job site, we still covered?
Number one, I'm 99.9% sure we're not supposed to
You would be
capacity be out there on a job
you would
site.
be covered under the general liability.
I go on job sites.
That's wonderful, but we're not supposed to in that capacity.
Who said
Am
that?
I correct? In that capacity as a board member.
I mean, you can go on the job site, but
Go anywhere you want to go.
Not as,
you're not an employee. You're there as a. I mean, you can go there to see what's going on if it's safe to be there. Yeah,
And you'd be covered under general liability.
correct. Yeah.
Don't go past the yellow caution
yeah.
tape.
It's just like anybody else can show up. It's not,
I go
it's
anywhere.
for that capacity to do work.
Correct. You're not doing work. Yeah.
I go to all of them.
Right.
And again, I'm going to state this for the purpose of the record. We're not supposed to in that capacity other than observation, correct?
Correct.
Thank you. Madam Secretary, can I please have a call the roll, please?
Ms. Demott?
Aye.
Mr. Fitchukowski?
Aye.
Mr. King?
Aye.
Ms. Biggs?
Aye.
Mr. Grasky?
Aye.
Mr. Kitts?
Aye.
6 ayes.
Moving on to financial report. Ms. Hill?
Yes, you do have a financial report in your agenda packet. It reflects it's through November, so that's about 42% of the budget. So you can see that we're on target with our revenue compared to the budget. We're still transitioning from the former model of having employees of the PSA to now having a utility department. So we need to take that into consideration. That results in some expense line items being disproportionate to the budget. And we plan to bring, at the next PSA board meeting, a budget amendment to realign those things. And as I stated earlier, facility fees for both water and sewer are well above the budgeted amounts. Does anyone have any questions? I'd be glad to answer them.
Anybody have a question? No question?
Looks like a lot of stuff was thrown under miscellaneous.
We're going to take a look at that and get that squared away at the next meeting.
Thank you.
Okay. Next is utility director's report. Back to you, Justin.
So I've got a couple updates for you since I've been here. Back in January, between January and March of 2025, at the Reiner wastewater treatment facility, there were some struggles, I guess, with the treatment at that facility, and it caused basically some loss of nitrification at the plant, and there was some waste that was discharged that was not within compliance. Since coming on board with the county, we received a DEQ consent order for the Reiner wastewater treatment facility, and that comes with a civil penalty of $10,873. From my understanding, the cause of the waste being discharged outside of compliance was the record cold temperatures that we had in January, and then also a process issue where too much sludge was wasted. Basically, too many bugs were taken out of the plant, and then it got super cold and the plant died, for lack of better terms. So DEQ had recently sent a consent order basically putting the plant under consent for 6 months with a civil penalty of $10,873.
Does anyone have any questions about that?
So just for clarification for people at home, when you said bugs, you're talking about microbes.
That's correct.
Yeah, just want to clarify that so people don't get the creepy crawlies.
That's right.
So we talk about the microbes and not the bugs.
That's right.
So just for point of clarification for everyone. Okay, I just want to say I appreciate you coming on board. I appreciate you grabbing the bull by the horns. And I think all of us up here appreciate the work that you're doing so far. And the one thing I'll always tell you, and I'm a big one on this one, is you can delegate authority, but you can't delegate responsibility.
That's right.
And I appreciate you standing up when you need to stand up. I just want to say thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
You might have something else. Do you have anything else?
I've got a couple more updates.
Okay, I
for
thought
you.
he was done.
I know. I know, because he's great. He's doing
So-
a great job.
I'm sure you all have heard about the lead and copper rule where we had to go and inventory all the service lines in the county. Just want to give a quick update on that. My folks have been working on looking at our unknown service lines, and we're down to 218 unknown service lines out of all the systems combined. We had to send out letters today to all of the customers that had unknown service lines, just letting them know they're unknown. We're still conducting those investigations. The goal that I've gave to my staff is to have those done before summer. So next December, whenever we send our inventory to VDH, it's complete, and we don't have to send out any more letters to our customers saying we don't know what your service lines are. There haven't been any lead service lines found to date, but that's where we're at. Some of the next steps with the lead and copper rule revisions and improvements are we have to start doing water samples at licensed child care facilities and at our public schools. We can wait a couple of years and start that until 2027, where we have to start completing 20% of our schools and child care facilities every year for 5 years. I've chosen just to do all of the child care facilities and schools in 2027. We have a small number. The cost is very small. We're talking maybe $1,500 to $2,000 for the lab to analyze all those samples. So I assume just do them and be done with it and get that behind us, because they'll probably come out with something else in the near future that we're going to have to do. In doing that too, we'll work with the town of Blacksburg and the town of Christiansburg to coordinate those samples, because we'll have to reach out to the folks at public schools and let them know that it's coming, and there's some literature we have to send home with the children. So instead of trying to confuse things in different towns in the county, timing their samples at different times, we're going to team up and just do all that at one time, send out one clear message to all the folks at all the schools, and knock that out. So that's next steps. Do you guys have any questions on lead and copper?
I do have just a suggestion, and this may be way outside of the purview of your role, but it would present an interesting educational opportunity for the schools. That might be something for public information to pursue or something like that.
We'll look into that.
Okay.
My bad hand.
Just a quick, just for a point of perspective. So you said you have 218 unidentified lines
That's
left.
correct.
Is that right?
Yes.
Out of how many? Like how many of you?
About 3,600.
Okay, so like less than 10%.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Awesome. Good work so
Yeah,
far.
thank you. Anything else on that topic? Okay. Quick update on Camp Christie water tank. So the tank's been constructed. The tank itself is almost complete. We're still waiting on a rubber membrane to be installed on the floor, some piping inside the tank, and then the pump house or the valve house, it's starting to be constructed. The contractor's working on some underground piping before they can start that. But I do anticipate that project to wrap up in March, completely turnkey, and in operation. So. And then the last thing I had, I think Marty emailed the OSHA inspection that we had at Shawsville. Just want to make you guys aware of that. We had a pop-up inspection the first or second week in October from OSHA at the Shawsville wastewater treatment facility. There were some things that they found that needed to be addressed, but there were no fines or no penalties associated with that. One of the things that they found was a missing cover on an electrical outlet. So that's been repaired, and we had the rest of the outlets checked, and everything's fine. There were two other instances where there was either a manhole or a valve vault lid that was left open. They were reinstalled and everything's fine. And then there was, we didn't have a portable eye wash station where my folks mix up some hydrated lime. So we're purchasing eye wash stations, portable ones for each one of our plants to make sure that our employees have what they need if they were to get something in their eyes. And then, of course, there was a violation for not having handrails where the two openings were, but since we took care of the openings, we don't have to have handrails now. That was one of the other things that was listed. But we've got two things to finish addressing. That's, or one thing with the eye wash stations, and then we're back in compliance with OSHA, and we've addressed all of their concerns. I just want to share an update with you on that as well.
Okay, I'm going to check this time because I thought you were done last time. You had like that dramatic pause in between, and I thought you were done. So is that your report?
I'm done. Yes, sir.
Okay. Do I have any questions for him?
Just one. So that means everything, all the workplaces are up to date and would pass if they were looked at now? Like if you had another pop-up, would they all pass?
I think that every time they come, they're going to have a finding. And I think that the nature of these findings are so small that shows that the plant was being operated in a really safe and good manner. And as Justin said, we will have the portable eye wash stations at each plant, which will alleviate that concern.
Right.
Okay, good.
But we were pleased that they didn't have anything significant at all.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Do I have any other questions for the Utilities Director? Seeing none, thank you very much.
Thank you.
So we're going to move on to member reports. Member King.
Just one question, and I apologize if I'm wrong. I think Hurt and Profit was working on replacing the price to replace the water line down Elliston, Shawville. Has that ever come in yet?
Did we get a price for replacing the whole water line in Charlesville and Elliston?
He did. Please come back up here. Sorry to point. It was kind of rude. I apologize.
No problem. So it's been a year or two ago, we did provide a general estimate to the PSA. I don't have that with me tonight, but we also are in the process of developing replacement plans for that water line all the way from Camp Christie to Elliston.
Right.
So we're under contract for that, and we're working on that now.
Yeah, that's what we're waiting on, is that part there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
What is the estimated completion for that?
So the survey is nearly complete on that. The plans are probably 50% complete on it as well. The next step will be to get with the Utilities Director and finalize an alignment down through there with, we like to do that with VDOT's input as well. So I would say that probably April of next year, that will be fully completed. So, and you know, that project was funded with the ARPA money and had to be finished and spent by the end of 2026.
Yeah, that's the money we was going to use to do that with.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Member Fidzikowski.
No report.
Member DeMont.
No report, but welcome aboard to Justin. It's great to have you.
Member Biggs, do you have anything?
No report, and same thing, welcome.
Vice Chair Grafsky.
I do not have a report this evening.
Okay, with that said, I just want to thank y'all for being here today. I know the process with working through the study portion can be a little painful sometimes as we try to nail this down. And as we incorporate new members to the team, we'll be able to iron this all out and be able to work forward. So Nothing else. That's all I have. So we are adjourned.